for example 3, you're probably going to ask me, why didn't we just do this to start? And the reason is, I'm not just going to show you how to use a calculator for something that you don't know how to do by hand. So we had to do it by hand for examples 1 and 2. And now I'm going to show you how to do this on your calculator. So let's first look at the example that they have pre-made. The first thing they do is they took the equations, got them all in standard form. So the first equation, we have to move the z over. The second equation looks good. The third equation, we just have to rearrange the y and the x. And then they put it into a matrix. Okay. And then there's a way to input that augmented matrix that we've been working with. And instead of by hand manipulating the whole thing, there's a way to get the reduced row echelon form automatically. So you can input that matrix. You can tell it to get the reduced row echelon form, and then it gives you the answer. And then you can check those answers back in the original, and they all work. Pretty awesome, right? So let's do that together, and I'll show you how that works. All right, on a TI-84, I'll show you how that works. Let me just pause here. All right, so now I got my calculator up. This is going to work. I mean, listen, I don't know how to do this on other kinds of calculators, so hopefully you have a TI at home. I know you have a TI-84 preloaded on your Chromebook, so try to use that if you don't have another option. First thing we would do is convert the equation that's given, or the system of equations that's given, into the matrix, or in the standard form at least. That's all good. So I can just input that info in. I'll tell you what, let's write it out first. Right, so it'd be 1, 1, 1, and then 55. And then 2, -1, -1, and then -7. And then 1, 2, -2, and then 10. So that's what we're going to input into the calculator. How do you do that? Well, see where it says matrix right above the inverse button? So we're going to hit second matrix. That'll open up the matrix window. There's 3 columns. We need to go over to edit because we need to input the matrix that we were just given into one of those spots. I'm just going to pick A. Okay. We first need to tell it the dimensions. Recall that matrices go by rows, then columns. So there's 3 rows and 4 columns. So this is a 3x4. So you hit 3, enter, 4, enter. And what that does is it creates enough spots for you to enter in all your numbers. And then when you enter them in, it's going to go row by row, all right? Like you would if you're typing a paper, right? So starting on the left, moving to the right, and then you'll drop down to the next line and left to right, and then drop down to the third line and left to right. So if I type in 1 and hit enter, it'll jump to the next spot. The next element is 1, so 1, enter, jump to the next spot. That element's 1, enter, and then it jumps to the last spot of the first row, and that number is 55. So I'm going to type 55, hit enter, and now it jumps down to the second row. All right, so let's do that for all of them. Where it's negative, make sure you're using the negative button, not the subtraction button. That would give you an error. I just typed in -2. However, it's -1, enter. Then it goes -1 and then -7. All right, now I'm in the third row, and it goes 1, 2, -2, and then 10. And hit enter on that. Now we're going to use just second quit back out to the original main screen. All right, now we're going to hit second matrix again, and we're going to go over to where it says math. These are all different kinds of operations you can do with your matrices. We're going to scroll all the way down, and the one that we want is what you saw on the last example, which is the RREF, reduced row echelon form. If I hit enter on that, that'll pull out to the main screen. Now I'm going to hit second matrix again. And then now where it says names, just hit enter on the matrix that you already put in. The one that you put in should say 3x4 next to it. That pulls that out to the main screen. Hit enter on that, and it gives you a reduced row echelon form of the matrix that you input. So essentially all those steps that you were doing in example 2 in order to force the 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 in those spots, it just did it for you. Okay, so then this literally means that x is equal to 16, y is equal to 18, z is equal to 21. Okay, yeah, it's that simple. So you just input those numbers in that way. I'm going to walk you through part B, but it's really just the same, although I see one difference. So I'm going to minimize my calculator for a second. What we're going to do, well, if I write, what I'm noticing is that, I don't know why I can't write on the screen now. But anyway, what I'm noticing is that, here, I can do it this way. All right, so the x is in the wrong spot, right? So it should be negative 2x plus z equals 0.01. So when I go to write the coordinates, well, when I go to write the matrix with the elements in it, it's going to go 1, 1, 1, and then 1.8 for the first equation. For the second equation, negative 2 for x, there is no 0. There is no y, so I need a 0 for that. Z is 1, and then 1/10. I'm sorry. And then the last equation is 3, 1, negative 1, and then 0.8. All right. So then for this one, second matrix, maybe I want it to keep the information that I used for the last example in A. No problem. I'm just going to go down and hit enter on B. You have a bunch of different matrices that you can work with. So let's work with B. Again, this is a 4x3. So it's 4 rows. Sorry. It's a 3x4. What am I saying? Because it's 3 rows and 4 columns. All right, now I'm going to enter in those numbers. So 1, 1, 1, and then 1.8. And then negative 2, 0, 1, and then the last one is 3, 1, and then negative 1, and then tenths. I'm going to make one little mistake because then it will not tell you the answer. All right, so now we can quit out of this. Not sure if you've ever seen this, but instead of going back through all the menus to get the reduced row echelon function out, if I hit second entry, it pulls up the last thing I typed in. Now the only thing I need to do is just pull the B matrix down instead of the A matrix. Now I'm going to hit second matrix, go down and hit B, hit enter, and I'll just type over it. Okay, now I can just hit enter. And there's your answer. Your answer would be x equals 4/10, y equals 5/10, z equals 9/10. Okay. So again, I apologize for not, well, it's a hashtag sorry, not sorry, right? Uh, I did not. I'm sorry in one respect that I get the frustration because I felt it too when I was in school about why wouldn't you just show me the easy way first? So I respect that. I get that. But the answer is that I don't want to just show you how to do something on a calculator and have you not understand what it's actually doing for you. So you need to have some kind of appreciation for what the calculator just did for you. And by forcing you to do examples 1 and 2 by hand, hopefully you have an appreciation for what this calculator is now doing for you and the work that it's saving you and the time it's saving you. Anyway, um, examples 4 and 5 are going to look at some context to these questions. So using actually, I'm sorry, example 5 is going to be context. Example 4 is going to be some special cases like what happens when uh, it doesn't work out the way you think it should. But anyway, we'll look at that in a moment. Let me know if you have questions.